We've got another mage matchup here, and hopefully we don't have to steal this one. Hopefully we can win this one fair and square. This is kind of a really weird, awkward hand. These selfless heroes are actually kind of awkward as early drops unless you have something else next to them. So let's send away one of them. Still kind of like the handful of one drops, and because of that, we should be able to stick one or two of them and make Selfless Hero useful.
Cast a spell. I want to cast a spell.
So the Babbling Book is a bit of a pain because that one extra damage on turn 2 actually makes a pretty big difference in whether or not he can take care of my creatures. So like if I had Argent Squire, for instance, he could trade in Babbling Book and Hero Power to take it down. And also right now, if I play this Arcane Anomaly, then he will be able to do the same thing. But because I've got Sir Finley too, it means that even if he does that, then he's spent his creature and his turn 2 on removing that Arcane Anomaly, and I'm pretty fine with that. Especially now that I've got the Warlock Hero Power so that I can draw into some more spells. Steady Shot is usually the choice, but in this particular situation, I've got 3 1-drops in hand, so it's entirely possible that in a turn or two I'll be out of gas. So it makes a little more sense than usual, I think, to take the Warlock Hero Power, who is usually your second choice. Warlock Hero Power is pretty awesome.
Nothing scares me. Except mine.
So let's get him for some damage. 4/3 is still a pretty sizable creature. He can Frost Bolt it away, potentially, but still got in some damage, and we're emptying out our hand and using our mana as efficiently as we can, and we can refill with that Warlock Hero Power, so we don't need to conserve our resources quite as much as we normally would. But of course, if he doesn't have the Frostbolt, then he throws out an Arcane Intellect and leaves himself open for me to throw a bunch more damage at him. So he's got a lot of cards in hand, so I think I'm just going to draw with this instead of... I could have played the Blessing of Might and then Warlock Hero Power, or the other way around would be the proper order, of course. But I think this is proper because that's a lot of cards. Drawing 5 cards for 3 mana is a little bit unfair, to say the least. So I think we're in a pretty good position here. We've got a billion cards in hand, and we've got a board advantage. And we've got him down to 20 life. So Fireball is usually something that you're more than happy to see out of the Tempo Mage because it means that he's not advancing his board. I've still got a board here. I'm still getting in my damage. I can play Fajola, or I can play Eyeless, or I can play Argent Squire and Rallying Blade, or I've got a lot of options here. Fajola is pretty tempting because it's not very easy to deal with her.
Is that it?
She's a 3/4. If she survives, then I can drop a buff like Blessing of Might on her, and she becomes pretty difficult for the mage to deal with. And as it stands, she can use her turn basically Frostbolting and Hero Powering to get rid of it, or something like this, like Fireball. But that still means I'm advancing my board and I'm going to be able to keep putting pressure on. Okay, well hopefully this misses the Selfless Hero. Alright, well I got to keep the Selfless Hero. That's good. Still at 5 mana, so I can't quite Argent Squire, Rallying Blade, but I think I probably need to use the Rallying Blade here because I got to get rid of that Apprentice. But I also want to get something on the board.
Let me think.
That Selfless Hero, I lose the effect if he kills it and I have nothing else on board. This is actually kind of awkward. Really love to have 1 extra mana here, but gotta choose one of these directions. Eyeless is probably... Yeah, actually, Eyeless is probably the way to go, and I'll trade this in here and give Eyeless the protection and get a bunch of damage into face. Yeah, in hindsight, I almost missed that play. That was actually way better play than the other stuff I was thinking about. Now that I think about it, so uh, I think that's the way to go. This is really difficult for her to deal with. She's used both of her fireballs, and so she can't go hero power fireball to get rid of Eyeless, and it's a lot of damage that she's staring down. And I've got potentially lethal next turn if I throw that in there, and Leroy. And hopefully the arcane missiles miss. I am really good at this game. Look at that. Missed every single one of them. Alright, so Argent Horse Rider Rallying Blade is also lethal, so I'm going to go with that kill. I'm going to go with that method. And end this game, draw some cards, and